Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. A few weeks ago, we dropped off 5 baskets of freshly cut and split firewood at a local lumber kiln. And I believe the moisture content of that firewood right after we cut it and split it was reading somewhere between 25 and 30%. And I just got a call from the kiln and they said that it is ready for pickup. So let's head over there, get it picked up and see what our moisture content is reading now that it's been kiln dried. All right, so we made it back here to V1 Cut Lumber with Greg. Greg was not here the last time because he was out in Texas fighting wildfires. I think we mentioned before and showed some video footage of you flying a tanker plane, right?
Yeah.
So how long were you out there?
Turned out to be about 6 months. It's supposed to be 2 to 3, a little long.
Yeah, and they wouldn't let you leave because it was, I mean, state of emergency pretty much, right?
Once you get started, you can't quit.
Yeah, yeah. So we got our 5 firewood baskets here, and it almost looks like you stole a little bit of firewood from me because when you kiln dry firewood, or I guess when you dry firewood at all, it shrinks a little bit. And so these were, you know, right up to the top edge here, and now they're sitting down a little bit. And I noticed that when I season firewood too. I'll fill a basket all the way up to the top edge, and after a year they drop down. But Greg's got a moisture meter here. So I mentioned that these were 25 to 30% moisture when we dropped them off. And how long did you have these in the kiln?
There, yeah. Each basket was in for 7 days.
7 days. And you said that because it's not lumber, right? You're not trying to get like super precise with how you dry it. You were gonna try just putting it in for 3 days and then swapping out a basket.
Yeah, we used a space available on the end of the track where there was 10 and 12 foot lumber in the kiln, and there would have had been a bulkhead in place to keep the air, you know, flowing through the lumber. Instead, we use firewood baskets to help control that airflow.
Yep.
And for drying.
Now, when you're normally running the kiln, you run it in 1 week cycles, right?
With the 1-inch material, it's in there for a week. And instead of opening the door and dumping the heat out of it and having to just change one basket halfway through that cycle, we decided to go ahead and run it for the whole week, each basket, and not have to reheat the kiln back up again. Once you open that big door, it releases all the heat out of it.
Yeah. I think you said your biggest expense in running that kiln is
electric bill.
It runs the electric bill up there.
Sure
yeah.
does.
So, well, let's pop that moisture meter in there and see how much we've dropped this wood from 25-30% down to.
It's upside down, but it's...
Yeah, so 0.11, 0.10.
That's 10.4 right there.
10.4. So
another piece there.
Now obviously the outside
10.6 on that one.
Yeah, 10.6. Obviously the outside of the wood is going to dry faster than the inside of the wood, and we took a piece and cracked it open. So let's see what the actual inside of the wood is reading. Anything less than 20% is what we're after. So 18.6 is what the inside of the wood is reading, and they, you know, general rule of thumb with firewood is anything less than 20%, you're golden. So I'm very happy with this, and we've got some nice neat baskets here, all ready to load up with the skid steer onto the trailer and take home. So I don't know if you guys saw that video where we cut down a couple of red oak trees and built our own farmhouse bed. But that's actually where I got to know Greg. Was I needed some of that red oak kiln dried, and we got to talking, and I said, hey, do you have any room in the kiln to dry some firewood? And so that's when we got to talking about kiln drying firewood. Now, you're not in the business of kiln drying firewood, right?
No, that's it's for actually drying wood, mostly just lumber and slabs. Firewood just helps us out when the track's not full.
Yeah.
The track in the kiln 16 foot 6 inches long. If you're doing 8 foot lumber, you can put it end to end and it'll fit in there. If you're doing 16 foot, it'll fit in there. If you're doing 10 and 12 though, you got to have something to fill that 4 to 6 foot gap at the end, or put plywood on the end of it and a bulkhead to steer the air through the existing lumber that's inside there. Other than that, we've been using firewood to help with that instead of building a bulkhead.
Because you've got to have that air go through the wood, not around it.
Go through it, not around it, to force it through. And this just kind of helps make sure that it goes the right way, and in the meantime we're drying that product as well. I built some firewood baskets that are a little bit taller out back that actually fill the kiln just right. And that's how we started doing it, so let's not waste that space. Let's just go ahead and utilize it.
Right.
And, but we do dry a little bit of firewood, but that's not the primary business. Drying wood, drying slabs, mostly slabs, heavier stuff, and most any kind of wood.
Yeah. So if anybody needs any lumber dried, go ahead and give Greg a call. But I guess maybe I'm the exception to the rule here with getting a little bit of firewood dried. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get this loaded up on the trailer and take it home. Thank you, Greg. So we managed to get 4 out of the 5 baskets in the new garage, and the 5th basket I put in the old garage. And the reason I couldn't get all 5 in here was, I mean, I have the space for it. If you look, I've got some extra, maybe 18 inches on this side and easily an extra 2 or 3 feet on this side. But the problem is with this brand new white liner panel in the garage, I am absolutely terrified of ramming that wall with this IBC tote full of firewood with the tractor, or having my forks poking through the back side of the IBC tote and poking holes in that new liner panel. So I got as close to the wall as I could comfortably without thinking I'm gonna destroy these brand new walls. But what I need to do is come up with some kind of design for either a dolly for these IBC totes or some kind of hand fork truck. That way, once I get them close, then I can go ahead and fine maneuver them in up tight against the wall and make room for 3 baskets on either side of the garage door here. Now, I swear I didn't plan it this way, but how fitting is it that the first thing in the new garage is what else but firewood? It just so happened that right as we're finishing up the garage, we got the call from the kiln saying that our firewood baskets are done. And since we went through all that trouble and effort of taking it to the kiln, bringing it back from the kiln, having them dry it, it doesn't make much sense to park it outside at this point. Which brings me to my next point. I know anytime we talk about kiln-dried firewood, we always get comments down below saying what a waste of energy it is to kiln dry firewood. You've got dehumidifiers, you've got fans, you've got to run heat to heat up the firewood. And I think what most people don't understand is, yeah, it makes sense just to park your firewood outside and let it season on its own when you're just producing for yourself and you know how much firewood you need for the year. Last year you burnt 4 cords of firewood. You can reasonably anticipate that you're gonna burn 4 cords of firewood again this year. But when you're selling firewood, you might sell 20 cords of firewood one year, and the next year you've got customers knocking down your door for 40 cords of firewood. So any opportunity you can to expedite the drying of the firewood is something you definitely need to consider. Now, there are some other benefits to kiln-dried firewood that make it superior to seasoned firewood. Obviously, the one we just talked about is the time it takes to dry it. But the second one and the third one that the consumers will most likely appreciate is it is actually a drier firewood. So here in northwestern Pennsylvania, it's rather difficult to properly season firewood below 20% moisture. I know I've left firewood out for a year or two, cut, split, and stacked. And depending on the species, sometimes it'll never get below 20% just because we have a fairly wet climate. Maybe not this summer, but most summers we actually have a fair bit of clouds. And it's just this part of the country, it's hard to properly season firewood to get it below 20%. But as you saw, we took the moisture meter to this kiln-dried stuff, 10% on the outside, 18% on the inside. So it is a drier firewood, which means it's gonna burn better. The third benefit, aside from the time to dry and it being drier, is the fact that it was in a kiln for a week in 160 to 170 degree temperatures in a vacuum sealed environment, making it nearly impossible for any bugs and insects to survive in this firewood. So I know that I can safely park this, a cord and a third in here in the garage without having to worry about any wood destroying insects in this wood, like termites that are gonna go and eat away at my house. So I know that there's pros and cons. Yes, it costs more money to make kiln-dried firewood when Mother Nature would do the same thing over the course of a year, but there's just a lot of benefit to kiln-dried firewood. Speaking of firewood, the Paul Bunyan show is coming up October 7th through the 9th in Cambridge, Ohio. We will be there on October 8th. That's the Saturday. We're gonna be at the Easton Made tent at 11 a.m. and we will be at the Metza Machines tent at 2 p.m. We got a chance to go last year and met a lot of great people who watched the channel. It was really awesome to get to meet people on the other side of the camera. So I hope if any of you guys are interested in firewood and forestry and all that stuff, it's an awesome show. Lots of really cool equipment and all the companies are doing demos of their equipment. Really great time to get out and meet. So I hope I'll get to see you guys there. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this one, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.